What if I told you that Netflix made a romantic comedy that's somehow dividing people for completely opposite reasons, because some viewers are calling Office Romance one of Netflix's best rom-coms in years. Others think it's exactly what's wrong with modern rom-coms, and honestly, after watching it, I can kind of see both sides. Let's talk about it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Movizo, where we break down what's worth your time and what isn't. Today we're talking about Office Romance, the new Jennifer Lopez romantic comedy that dropped on Netflix on June 5th. Now, I'll be honest, I went into this expecting another forgettable streaming rom-com. And while I ended up enjoying parts of it more than I expected, I also understand why some viewers are coming away disappointed. So let's break down both the good and the bad. The thing Office Romance gets right immediately is its setup. Jennifer Lopez plays Jackie Cruz, the CEO of a growing airline company who's constantly dealing with pressure from her board and trying to prove herself as a leader. Brett Goldstein plays Daniel, a British attorney who's extremely cautious about mixing business with personal relationships. The two are forced to work together while navigating a company policy that strictly prohibits workplace romances. And unlike a lot of rom-coms, the obstacle actually makes sense. Neither character feels like someone who's looking for love. Jackie is completely focused on work. Daniel is almost obsessively professional. So when attraction starts creeping in, it creates genuine tension because it goes against who these people are. Brett Goldstein is probably the film's biggest strength. Even if you're not fully invested in the romance, he's consistently charming and easy to watch. He brings a natural likability to Daniel that keeps the movie moving even during weaker scenes. Jennifer Lopez is solid as well. She's believable as a strict, hard-working CEO, and she handles the more emotional moments well enough. The professional side of their relationship is also where the movie is strongest. Watching two competent people solve problems together is often more interesting than watching them flirt, and the film understands that. Whenever Jackie and Daniel are focused on the lawsuit, business decisions, or company drama, the movie feels the most confident. Now here's where opinions on this movie start splitting apart. Some viewers are going to watch this and immediately buy into the relationship. Others are probably going to spend the entire movie wondering why these two people are supposed to be falling in love, because the chemistry between Lopez and Goldstein is easily the most debated part of the film. For me, there are moments where the connection works. Certain conversations have charm, and both actors are doing their best with the material. But I also understand the criticism. The romance develops very quickly, and the movie doesn't always spend enough time building trust or emotional intimacy between the characters. Instead of watching a relationship gradually deepen, it sometimes feels like the story is rushing toward the next romantic milestone, because that's where the script needs to go. And when a rom-com asks you to believe in a relationship, that's a pretty important thing to get right. Let's talk about where the film struggles. The biggest issue is probably the screenplay, not because it's terrible, because it's predictable. A lot of the conflicts rely on misunderstandings that feel manufactured rather than natural. There are multiple moments where a simple conversation could solve the problem almost immediately, but the movie keeps stretching the tension because it needs drama. The result is that some emotional conflicts feel forced rather than earned. The comedy is another area where reactions will vary. There are definitely jokes that work, especially whenever Betty Gilpin shows up. She's probably responsible for some of the movie's funniest moments, but if you're expecting a laugh-out-loud comedy, you may leave disappointed. For a movie marketed as a romantic comedy, the humor isn't particularly memorable, and some jokes land much better than others. The romantic side has a similar problem. Nothing is actively bad, but there aren't many scenes that feel iconic or memorable. The film hits familiar rom-com beats without adding much that's genuinely fresh, and visually it's fine, not ugly, not impressive. Just another polished Netflix production. When people talk about classic rom-coms from the late 90s and early 2000s, part of their appeal was how cinematic they felt. Office Romance never really reaches that level. There's also a subplot involving Daniel's sister that never fully comes together. It has a purpose, but it feels disconnected from the movie's central romance and slows the pacing whenever the story shifts toward it. What I appreciated most is that the film is at its best when it remembers that these characters have careers, responsibilities, and actual lives outside the romance. The strongest scenes aren't necessarily the romantic scenes. They're the moments where Jackie and Daniel are solving problems together, challenging each other professionally, and slowly developing respect for one another. That's where the relationship feels most believable. The ending also does a decent job bringing everything together emotionally. Whether or not you'll love the romance depends on how invested you are in the couple by that point, but the movie at least gives its characters a satisfying resolution. So, does Netflix finally get the rom-com right? Kind of. Office Romance is better than a lot of recent streaming rom-coms because it understands the basic formula and plays it relatively straight. There's charm here, there are good performances, and Brett Goldstein especially does a lot of heavy lifting. But at the same time, the romance doesn't always feel fully developed, the chemistry won't work for everyone, and the screenplay relies too heavily on familiar rom-com shortcuts. If you're already a fan of Jennifer Lopez or Brett Goldstein, there's a good chance you'll enjoy it. If you're looking for a modern rom-com classic, this probably isn't it. For me, it lands somewhere in the middle. An enjoyable watch with some genuine strengths, but also enough flaws to keep it from being something special. I'm curious where you fall on this one. Did the chemistry between Jackie and Daniel work for you? Or were you one of the people who never really bought the romance? Let me know in the comments, because this seems to be the thing audiences are disagreeing on the most. If you enjoyed this review, hit the like button and subscribe to Movizo for more movie reviews every week. Office Romance is streaming on Netflix right now. Go watch it, come back, and tell me whether you think Netflix finally cracked the rom-com formula, and I'll see you in the next one.